Okay, I figured this was a good stopping point. I don't have my headset, so the audio may be a little weird. But the rabbit hole on this radio just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. We're having all kinds of fun. We've got our hole cut for the amplifier. Now, we're going to take a look at this amplifier. Here's our amp. Okay. This is actually a Kenwood TS430 heatsink with the built-in fan. We're going to wire it up for 2-speed. Okay. I was going to change my direct injection system here, but turns out I'm a little light on relays, so we're going to leave this the way it is for the moment. And let me explain to you the way this works. This is not just double relays, okay? When the RF comes in from the radio, it's going to come in, it's going to hit this relay, trigger this keying circuit. It's going to through this relay straight to our input. Do its thing, da-da-da-da-da-da, till it comes out the output. And then it's going straight to another relay where there will be another RG316 wire coming off of this, going straight to the antenna jack. So each one of these is this one's handling all the input, this one's handling all the output, and there will be a traveler going back and forth for the receive. I have somebody who's advising me, and I have a lot of respect for him. So I'm really listening to what he's got to say. And had I had the relay that I needed to do to change this to what I was advised to, we would have done it, but I don't have them. So, and I've got the whole cut radios got to go back together. But never mind all that. There is going to be some kind of dial to control the power of the individual amp. I'm not sure how we're going to do that. One way I know is going to happen is we're going to put dual power supplies in this, regardless of a couple other advice say don't do that, but we're going to try it. If I don't try it, then I'm one of those guys. You guys know. You guys see what comes out of my shop. It's crazy. So this is going on the back. That's that. Now, because we're going to have dual power supplies, one power supply is going to run solely the board, the amplifier, the PA board. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this. And here's what's going to blow your mind. We're going to cut this and put this in the face of the radio. However, I'm going to recess the speaker back so to accommodate for the depth. Of the device. And the speaker's still going to be there. But you're only going to have holes here, 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 and here for the speaker. But this, and when you guys see this, if you didn't see the video on the New World power supplies, that's our new line of power supplies we're building. Go check out this information center we put on all these. It's pretty cool. Then on top of that, this is what's going to happen. We have a very nice label maker here. So a lot of stuff's getting relabeled. First of all, the headphone jack is going away. This is going to be turned into a 10-turn clarifier because I don't like stuff that drifts. This is going to get relettered, and it's going to have two functions. The one function is going to be to turn the back one. It's a dual control now, so we're just going to use it. The values are close enough. The back one is going to turn my PA power supply voltage up and down, while on the front of this, the mod limiter, not the mic gain, on the board, the mod limiter is going to be wired to the front of this. These will be relabeled appropriately as well. At that point, we're going to go over here and convert two switches. NF is going to get changed to PA, and it's just going to be your standby. PA off and on. And then because we do have dual power supplies and a single display, this is just going to get relabeled somehow for radio power supply and PA power supply. And depending on where the switch is, we'll tell you what power supply the information center is monitoring at that point. So that's where we're at now. So this is my personal radio, so I'm going nuts like this. This radio works great. Oh, I did until I ripped it apart. It's going to be fine. Rarely do I just take something apart and just modify the dog cheese out of it, but we did it on this one, and there was a reason. I've had all these ideas for a while. So this probably be the last base I buy myself for a long time. So everything, while I've got, I've been saving this heat sink from when my 430 died. I thought it was a nice heat sink. Said we'll use it one day. So this is one of those projects where I'm basically throwing everything at it but the kitchen sink. Mainly because it's all stuff I know how to use and I'm going to use. Once again, I'm building this radio for me. This is for a customer. And it's not even a build. It's a conversion. This is probably the largest conversion we've ever done. With the mod limiter control, dual power supplies, information center. Now here's your basic RCI 69 as it lives, minus my modification to stack 2 power supplies in there. This is your dimmer board, which is normally mounted right here. Now, we're not losing the dimmer. We're not losing any functions to put all this stuff in here. But what we are going to do is, I'm going to move this guy forward and get it out of the way in my power supply section. And for you guys that don't work on these a lot, if you don't know, the back of these are made to hinge, so you can work on them back here. Now the other thing we did right here, what you're going to notice is this big 1/4 inch thick aluminum block. The radio from the factory has these on it inside, and you see how deep they are. Well, that's fine, but it was taking up room for where my amplifier is going to go. So what we did was we took all the fins off of the original piece, because it is all threaded and tapped for the transistors that are in here, and you'll notice there's 4. Now, instead of the fins, we just added a lot more aluminum mass to the base plate to accommodate what we took off. This is actually a lot more aluminum by weight than what we pulled off, so that's going to be just fine. Besides that, the one they added, and I'm thinking this is going to be a problem, I'm half tempted to solve it right now myself. You'll notice there's no extra heat sink on this one at all, and it's part of your output section. Now, for those of you who didn't see the last video on when I first attempted to buy this radio from somebody, we're not a dealer anymore. I buy these radios like you guys do, and what you're paying for is my craziness. But we finally got a radio here, and I ended up buying a refurbished radio. Okay, Copper had them. They had them for $100 cheaper than everything else. And here's the thing. It came with the AM power regulator upgraded. Okay, the driver upgraded, the cap upgraded. Even though it doesn't look like it, that's bigger than the one that's supposed to be in here. Actually, I think both of these are, if I'm right. I may be wrong. It's the first time I've seen this chassis. But I know they put a new audio chip. And how do you tell? Look at all the extra heatsink grease. Somebody's been in there. Somebody's been in there. Somebody did all this. So all these finals are... Now, we are going to saw these off. Those are what's holding our heatsink. The mass we took away. And there is compound down in here. And this is an air pocket right here. Can't really see it in the light we got. There you go. There's actually an air pocket right here. So what you have is this flat heatsink up against 4 rails where we broke off the fins. So there's more than 4. It's going to be like 6 or 7 of them. That through those thin lines that are left, remnants of what we took off, and transfer that heat to this. That's how we solved that problem. But they from the factory, there's nothing extra on this extra transistor they added that helps this thing dead key down to nothing and swing freaking 80 to 100 PEP watts. However, let's be realistic. When you take the old peak switch off and you go straight slug, this ain't nothing but a 30 watt radio. It ain't much hotter than the old Saturns were. It does have a very different sound, which is why I'm going to go ahead and do all this. Now, when I got the radio, I had a counter problem. We solved that. And that was really the only thing I had to do to it. So now, while the power supplies are out and I have access to the switches, okay, brand new radio, just ripped it a million pieces. How you guys like me now? Anyway, while I can get back here easy, I'm going to do all my converting electrically on my switches so that when I'm done, I can set my power supplies in. My pigtails are over here. I'm done. I wire everything up accordingly. So now we are actually at, aside from removing the speaker and moving it back, and I don't know how I'm going to do that, I've only got about 1/4 inch, and that may be all I need. If you look at the space here, when you guys are doing modifications on your own, unless you're dead dog ass sure about what you're doing, don't go doing stuff like this. I mean, I fit that amp into this hole 17 times, we counted, before I finally got this hole where I was happy with it. We are not drilling, other than this, nothing's getting drilled on this. Unless I put a 6-digit counter on top, which I may do. I've got one, a nice one. I can't figure out a way to put it inside nowhere, so we're not going to live it. So, but anyway, my next challenge is moving the speaker back. Now, how am I going to do that? I'm going to get some longer screws, okay? And I'm going to make some standoffs. This is just going to move back as far as I can, just to accommodate the depth that our information center is going to end up taking, okay? Now, it's darn close. I mean, I'm only going to be about an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, okay? But I'm going to leave the speaker there. The speaker's going to stay still going to be functional. However, once I move it back, I'm going to have to take some of my metal tape and go around the entire gap that gets made when this gets moved back to keep the quality, what there is of it with this speaker, coming out the front of the radio, right past its information center. This radio is going to be nuts, guys. All right, so we're going to take some more pictures. And it's time to go forward now. We've done as close to an autopsy on this radio as we can to see if we like it or not. I ran it for 2 weeks as it was delivered and modified by mere mortals. That's fine. It ran great. It ran good enough for me to do this. Whoop. What you gonna do when your technician grabs your brand new RCI 69 and does this shit to it? Well, you be patient. You sit back, you be quiet, and you let the man do his work. When this radio's done, guys, it's going to blow your freaking mind, because I know what's coming out of it. I know what's going to happen. It's already blowing my mind. So, 7.3s. Well, this is all going to be one long video. So, at the end of this, we're going to unveil this bad boy. And I don't even think we're going to change the lettering on the front as far as its model number. I'm going to put my name on it nowhere. I didn't build this radio. We are putting a hell of a conversion on it, but I don't know. We're still thinking. So there's what your brand new RCI 69 looks like when you take and strip it down to what it basically. It's the mobile version at this point. There's no power supply. I could feed it 12 volts, fire it up, and run this chassis off this front panel. Once again, I keep telling you guys, these base stations are only mobile chassis slapped in a freaking box with a power supply and a different front panel. That's all base station is. This is a high-end mobile 10-meter chassis. I want to say a 99V2 or maybe one that I haven't seen yet. Once again, they're changing things so fast, it's hard to keep up with. One thing they did do that I like now, they used to have it a lot. See the circuit boards on the bottom of all these controls? That's nice. Now, when I get to the clarifier over here, what we're going to have to do is, in order to accommodate putting the 10 turn in, the headphone jack is there right now. That's coming out, but you'll notice that the headphone jack is on this little like standoff deal. Okay, it's kind of hard to see. It's on this little standoff deal, right? We're going to cut this whole piece up, so we got this big hole. Because if you've ever seen a 10-turn potentiometer, they're big. So this is going to accommodate that. Then the clarifier itself, we're going to take its value, divide it in half, and then take 2 of those resistors and put them together. You're not going to have 3 connections. It's going to be like locking this one in the middle. And then that's going to get shrink wrapped and laid off to the side. Then the big clarifier is going to come over here and get wired to the 10 turn. And that's the way we're going to do that. So, whoo boy, the rabbit hole gets deeper. This is going to be an expensive conversion if you guys want to get into it, but it's going to be worth it. I can't wait to fire it up. So, all right, there it is. I got to get back to work. 7.3s, God bless. Wash your damn hands. All right, this is where we're at. The rabbit hole got pretty deep on this one. Now, here's our face as it lives when we pull the front panel off. Now, the speaker is going to get moved probably into the bottom because I'm going to pull 4 release cuts right here. I'm going to fold these in because the face has now been altered. Okay? Up on this side of the face where the speaker used to be is now this nice wood grain plate, our diagnostic center, and the 409 trio clarifier set, which is receive, transmit, and split frequency. we were not going to make this vanity panel. We were trying to do this without having to do that. However, things don't always come out as planned, guys. It's a brand new face. Yes, I know. But we didn't quite get it as nice as we wanted it. So, made vanity plate. So now, triple clarifiers are going here. Okay, where the clarifier was before, I'm going to leave the little emblem there, but I'm going to make 2 new labels. And my label maker will make these exact fonts on black background. And what's going to happen is, what the fine is, the small one in front, is going to be your modulation limiter. Not the mic gain, but the modulation limiter. And then the one in the back is going to be PA voltage adjust up and down. And over here, which is what we're going to do next after we screw down this panel and put all that in, is NB and L is going to get locked on. And then what this is going to be is, it's going to flip between our 2 power supplies for the diagnostic center. It's going to make it a dual mode unit. When it's up, it'll be checking the PA's power supply and its voltage. When it's down, it'll be checking the transceiver's power supply and its voltage and whatnot. And then over here where NF is, this is just basically going to be our standby for the amp we're putting in. So there it is. It is now time to start putting it together. We've got everything in our hands. All the major holes are cut. All the heavy lifting is done. Now it's time to go back together with this brand new beast. 3 times as beastie as it was before. 7 threes. Keep watching. Audio, okay. Alright, here we go. We're going to try it like this. We finally got all the cutting and jumping and jiving done. So this is what we ended up with. It's the RCI 69. It's brand new. We bought one brand new. And I put dual 30 amp power supplies in it. A friend of mine gave me some tips. We made a nice 250 watt 2-pill for to go on the back. And then we're actually going to put a fan on the side. And we have this new diagnostic system we're using on everything now. And we've changed some of the functions, which I have to relabel. Like we relabeled the top here. This outer one, that course, if you watch the voltage and you see this display, this voltage, this display is telling you everything that's going on with the device that you're running. In this case, it's running the amplifier. It's only on the power supply that is running the amp. The other power supply is solely running the radio. However, this one is variable. So the outer knob is going to say, you know, we're going to have to relabel it. You see, when we turn it down, voltage goes down, resistance goes down. Ooh. Now, I can run this amp down to 11 volts, about as low as I'd run it. But I can take this thing all the way up to 15.1 if I want. So, I'm going to set this thing. And this is a little touchy. I got to do some trickery with this potentiometer to make it read just the way I want it to. Or to not make it so finicky. Oh, I had 13.6. That was nice. Come on. Alright. We'll live with 14 volts on the money. So now, my amplifier power supply, I can now read its volts that it's drawing. It's milliamps or amps. It's watts. How much energy is in store, and with that's irrelevant in this thing. But it also, the cool thing is, it has the resistance of the device and the capacitance of the device. And it tells you down at the bottom how long that device has actually been pulling current. In other words, how long has that device actually been being used. Now, the cool thing is, say we run at 14.0. Now, what we did over here, I got to relabel some of this. We turned this switch, the NF, into the plus 10. Because I got it plus 10. And then, well, I got to line it too, apparently. And then, if you listen, this, get my finger off. This fan and heat sink come off of a Kenwood TS430 mobile. And then we built a nice 2-pill and stabbed it on there. And I did use my direct injection method of relays. Sorry, buddy. I know who's looking at this going, you shouldn't have did that, but I did. I'm sorry. It's just something I like to do. But the other thing is we're using this cool-ass hookup wire for everything. This is 4 18-gauge wires in a single jacket. So you're going to see these guys running back and forth doing their job instead of having 5 million freaking, wires and stuff floating around. Now look how nice and neat the bottom looks. Got a million wires, and I'm not even done tying everything up yet. But you see how nice that wire makes everything look? This is a brand new radio. A brand new radio we chopped up. So now let's look at how we chopped it up. If you're a real hardcore Ranger guy, you're gonna be mad at me. So we cut out the speaker hole, and as you can see, I tried to do a nice job, but it didn't work out. So zip, that got cut out, and we made that fascia panel the way we did everything. So now we had it set at 14 volts. The device is on 14 volts. I'm gonna put the 100 watt slug back in here. Gotta have 1,000. Anyway, let's try this again. So now our amp is on. Okay, we're on the 100 watt scale. Oh no, we got 100 watt slug, and we're on the 100 watt scale. So we're gonna go, and we have our mic gain set at, now the mic gain RF, all this is normal over here. What's gonna change is this is gonna get relabeled for standby. This one's gonna get relabeled for plus 10 kz. The other thing we did is we added 10 turn potentiometers to keep our stuff in line, or split our frequencies if we need to. So we got dual 10 turn potentiometers to really make your clarifier nice and smooth to run. My clarifier. Yeah. We're just going to want to go to the 500 watt scale. Yeah. It's about 275 watts peak. From, I believe, about a 60 watt carrier. Yep, 60 watt carrier. So that's not too shabby. Now, what I built this radio to do is to run these guys, my birdcage amps that we built. They need a couple 100 watts to drive them. Plus, if you got to have this kind of stuff in here, you might as well have some goods to play with it properly. So, everything we did, I mean, my wife had a heart attack when she saw I cut the front of this fucking radio up. And so did my helper. But, and once we got busy on it, I didn't take a lot of pictures or a lot of videos. You had the idea at the end of the last video. This is how it came out. You know, we stacked two. Now what's going to happen here is the top for this one is gone. Well, it's not gone, but it's coming off. What we're going to do is, if I can find it quickly in the pile of everything laying around here. Anyway, what we're going to do is drop the mic. All right. The rebuild of our 69 is done. Rather a conversion. This was a brand new. If you haven't seen the videos yet, this is a brand new RCI 69. And then we got a hold of it. It now has dual 30 amp power supplies, which took a little trickery to get in there where we could actually close the back up. We had to modify this heatsink so that we could put our amp in. This is part of our clarifier conversion. We now have a 10-turn regular slide RXTX, and this one will split our transmit off from wherever we're at. And then we have our diagnostic center, which monitors only this board, which runs that board, and is actually variable from the front. We also moved the modulation limiter, not the mic gain, but the mod limiter to this control, so I can control my modulation limitation on AM. And then this is my PA voltage. And you'll notice we nicely relabeled the front of the radio. Diagnostic display, RTX. It is now, this is the way we're going to letter this model, just a Ranger Turbo. This radio does not come with plus 10. However, we did some trickery. Plus 10's been changed. That was the GNF. We got rid of that. And then we have our turbo board. Let's fix that decal. This turns our amp on the back off and on. Other than that, on the front, it's pretty well stock. We cut out the entire speaker, as you can see. It now requires an external speaker. And this is the top. So this is what we're in. This is our amp, the 2SC2290 board. We started off with a 2879 now, rather. It was a 2290, and I failed to take into consideration a whole little rack of transistors there. This unit comes with 4 MOSFETs, and I'm not sure what the configuration is. However, this radio right out of the box, once you pop them out a little bit, will PEP 80-100 watts, and that's by that guy, so it don't lie. It'll RMS damn near 30. I forgot to take all that into consideration. Fried me a set of 2290s, so we built a high drive 2879, and now that guy's in there. So we're going to put the back up. Now you see when we're done, close the back up. This is the heat sink from a Kenwood TS430 that got scrapped. We saved that because it's got the built-in fan set. And then over here, we made a dual mode speed deal for that fan. When we turn the turbo board on, you'll see in a minute, the fan kicks on. But when you key down, it closes this relay and ramps it up for while you're talking. So here's the top side. Everything's done, nice and neat, tied down. The only other thing we may do to this radio is I hate 5-digit counters. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. Now there's one conversion I can do which will shift the last 2 digits of these 3 go blank, and the last 2 will show me here. I may do that, or I'm going to contact Ranger tomorrow. Apparently, the board from an RCI 696F is it's a 10 meter, it's an 11 meter radio, but it has a 6-digit counter display board, and it fits right in here. Anyway, the board fits right. It goes in screw for screw, plug for plug. At that point, I would have red all the way across. So I don't know if that's available. If that's not available, I'm not going to stack one on top of this thing. What we're going to do is we're going to do the frequency display shifting. So we're going to close up the back. Back just closes up, put your screws in, you're done. And then we are going to give you a quick demo. But there it is. We will build these to order as long as I can get the radio. This radio is going to be $1,500, guys, and you'll see why in the next part of the video. Hang on. Okay. We got our back all buttoned up again. Nice and neat. Everything's all lit up now. This display right here that we've added. This is a diagnostic center that solely monitors this supply. Now, you'll notice the top is off the supply. We'll show you why in just a second. Now, what this does is it meters its voltage. Right now, it's milliamps because it's not keyed, but it'll all the way up to 200 amps. Watts that we're pulling. Energy as far as what we have in reserve and what we're drawing. Capacitance of your load. Exit resistance of your load. And inner resistance in mega ohms. Now, what does all these numbers mean? Well, in the application this is designed for, These are all really low numbers. This is actually designed to monitor a bigger DC system than it's monitoring in this radio. However, it does let us know what's going on. These are all I'm used to seeing all these numbers. Let's put it in that perspective. This is what I know I should be seeing on idle. I also did, like we told you here, this outer control is our voltage. See, we can turn our voltage down. We can turn our voltage up. Now I can run it all the way up to 15.2, I think, 1 or 2. I like to run it at about 14.2. So we're going to take it down. And the one thing about this display is it does kind of got a lag for catching up. So you got to kind of go, let's go 14.5, 14.2, 14.3. We'll go in between the two. So now, once again, all my numbers are still pretty well in check. The radio, this is basically our standby for the board on the back. Okay. This radio did not come with a plus 10 kHz switch. They had the narrow frequency on her. So we added it. And then we relabeled it appropriately. 10 kHz. Bam. This is the same. The same. It's the same. This one went from noise blanker, which is now on all the time, to turning on our turbo board. And you'll notice, you'll hear, when we turn this on, you hear the low speed engage. Now, power-wise, the radio in and of itself, we're on a 100 watt slug, peak switch is on. This is a pre-scaler. This takes our 100 watt slug, 250 takes it to 500 watts. Okay, we're going to do the 100 watt scale first. And check just the radio's power. Now, it's a 4 watt dead key, just about. Audio. 63 watts of peak. Now, we're going to take that 63 watts of peak, and we're going to turn this fella on. Now, the one thing you'll notice is when we key this, listen to the fan. And you'll notice it has a slight delay. We're still on the 100 watt scale. It's a nice 20 watt dead key. 100 watt scale can't hold it. 250 watt scale. It can't hold it. Let's go to the 500 watt scale. Now that means here's 5, 4, 3, 200 watts. We're going to land right in here somewhere, if not dead on 300. Audio. There it is, 300 watts of peak. Bam. Right out of the back of this bad fella. Now what that is good for is for driving our birdcage amps, our 23-500Z boxes. So this thing comes with now, and it has dual power supplies. Now, what I didn't show you in the last video is that bottom power supply is upside down, and there's a hole that is in the chassis naturally from the factory. So that fan is blowing down. Now let's get to the top fan. It's pulling the air out of that supply, throwing it into the bottom of the case. Now, if you look, there's all these voids where that air is going to come back up through. This supply also has a plug for the fan, which we unplugged and pulled this top off of, because what happened was we now have also a top exhaust, which we custom did. And as you can see, you can barely see it's there. 2-inch hole. We literally took the cover for the power supply, cut it out, covered it with black wood grain, touched it up a little, blackened the screws, fan lives underneath. Beautiful. So now what's going to happen is that top power supply is going to automatically regulate this fan. And that's the way it's going to work. So there it is, guys and dolls. We are calling this the Ranger Turbo. Now, there's no model number. This is a brand spanking new radio. We took it out of the box, ran it for a week to make sure it was healthy, and then proceeded to chop the hell out of it. This radio, if you guys want this model from me, long as I can still get the Ranger 69s to build them out of, this is a $1,500 piece. I believe a radio with dual 30 amp power supplies, 300 watt peak amp, full diagnostic system on board, slidable 10-turn clarifier, split clarifier. The only other thing we're going to do is there's going to be a switch at a very tiny one right here in the middle. That when we flip it, this whole counter is going to shift over, and it's going to show where this says 5-0, it's going to say 5-0. That's for when I go to sideband, or I may make it do it on sideband automatically, where when I flip it to sideband, it just changes. This way I'll know dead center slot. That's the only thing that bothers me about this radio. So we're going to solve that problem. But other than that, this is it. You can order them from us. We are the only people that make this radio, that reconfigure this radio this way. And all the channels are intact. Lowest channel is 24.265. Highest channel is 29.655. I think that's a pretty nice spread. Now, once you go and get your amateur license, you can use everything in this radio. And I would suggest you do so, because, you know, it's time. It's time we all just start to do things right. This radio, now here, the mod limiter, that's something else. We put the modulation limiter on the front. The mic gain stays usually about here at 12 o'clock. When these guys tell me I'm getting, if I go from mic to mic, and they tell me I'm getting raspy around the edges, I crank my modulation limiter back and lock it real hard, and then I bring it up until I see maximum forward peak, which usually, guys, isn't always full tilt boogie. Usually ends up being right about almost 9 o'clock, almost 3/4 of the way up. So, you know, not always does a radio run best with full-blown 100% modulation. Anything past 100% is basically distortion. And we don't want distortion. That's, you know, when we say Clean Audio Chicago around here, we mean it. These radios are clean, and everybody's telling me this is the baddest one we've ever sent out. And I ain't even sent it out. This one's mine. We will build you one, as long as we can still get the radios. This is my personal unit, and we changed our mind. This one is not for sale. We will build you one. It's $1,500, and we tried to be fair about everything. Ranger Communications built this radio. We did not. We converted it. So the way we did it was kind of a nice Ranger Communications -409 Radio Chicago. And between them and me, we're managing to turn out this Ranger Turbo base station. I love it. I talk on it every day. It's my baby. Why don't you let's build one for you. $14.99. Get you into the baddest rack handle that was ever made. 7-3, you guys. Thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for all your patronage, your patience. God bless you. Stay safe.